Donovan Long has been watching the decision with a group of faith leaders, and he's live now with their reaction. Donovan?
Hi, Brandon. So good evening. Yeah, all 6 of these pastors make up the fabric of our community, right? And you all have had a second to sit here and digest the second-degree murder charge. I want to start with you, Pastor Kalambula. You are a member of the Congolese community. What went through your mind when you heard Prosecutor Chris Becker announce that charge?
Mixed emotions. One is I recall speaking with the city manager and thinking, where is this going to go? And he expressed to me that I should have confidence in our system, and I had shared with him that he needs to help my unbelief. So there's a level of relief to hear that there are charges, but there's also a level of anticipation to see how far we go to get justice for Patrick and our community as a whole.
All of you have followed this from the very beginning, since 2 months ago when Patrick Lyoya was shot and killed. Pastor Bishop, do you think this is a first step toward justice with this second-degree murder charge?
Well, I definitely affirm what Pastor Kazumbo said. It is with mixed emotions. I think this is the beginning of hope for a systemic change, but I think that we have to remain hopeful that this trial ends with what we want in order for us to facilitate the necessary change that we've been asking for decades now. When Pastor Kazumbo said mixed feelings, I think that our team sitting here today could share the sentiments of, A, what took us so long. This death could have been avoided had we been taken our entire community been taken serious over the last 35 years, every year. So it is with mixed emotions that we're here today on the charge. But the charge does not equate to a victory. I think it hopefully leads us to a victory where we can begin overhauling and renovating our local law enforcement system on policies and culture.
Pastor Corbin, with this charge, what message do you think it sends to the community, your church family, other faith members in this community, and just regular average Joe citizens here?
Yeah, I have mixed emotions too. I'm relieved. I was surprised and I'm relieved, and I think the community will feel that way, that if it had gone, if there hadn't been charges filed, I think people would have been legitimately enraged and questioning whether justice was possible. This is, I think, a first step, a first step for justice for Patrick. And in that regard, I'm pleased, and we pray and hope that it continues this way.
Pastor Smith, did this particular charge satisfy you as a member of the community?
I can't say so. I think it's like sprinkling sugar on a cake where you forgot to put sugar in the mix. I think what we're trying to do is sweeten something. It's almost like we're pruning a tree but not addressing the root. We still have some systemic issues in our specific charter in this city, under the Grand Rapids, police union, that would give, an officer like Officer Shore the thought process that this process was okay. And I think that there's training that needs to be addressed. There's some systemic issues that need to be addressed. And until we address those issues, we're just sprinkling sugar on the cake that we forgot to put sugar in the mix.
Pastor Kalambula, you have a unique perspective here amongst all these other pastors because you knew Patrick. You had a former relationship with him before the world came to know him this way. Is this any more emotional for you to sit here and watch all of this play out on the national stage?
Absolutely. Yes, it's emotional on many levels. Not only did I know Patrick, I worked with Patrick's pastor in a way of mentorship as most of the Congolese community adjusting to life in West Michigan. That is primarily due to my tenure in a community, my relationship with the other pastors on this panel here today. So the Congolese community is re-traumatized, has been re-traumatized, so this carries with it a heavy toll on the whole community, the West Michigan, the Grand Rapids community, but specifically on the Congolese community. And I carry that as well. So, yes, it has a heavy toll. Yes.
Pastor Alston, what is your prayer to this community as we try and move forward?
That we will really become a community that makes its mind up that we're not going to stop until justice looks like the same for all people. You know, right now my prayer is that all facets of our community will do what they're supposed to do. If you're protesting, that you'll protest in a way that gets us results. If you're speaking from your platform, that you'll speak from your platform that will get us action. I think right now this is galvanizing our community in a way that we've never seen before. So there's some lining that we can take privilege in the fact that the Fathers brought this community together in a way we've never seen. Grand Rapids has never seen what is seen right now, especially in the clergy community. So I'm praying that we now put some legs around that, don't let that drop. Even after we get a conviction or a non-conviction with Patrick, I'm hoping that we will formulate some type of branch that brings us together that will never go back to being what we were.
I see you shaking your head in agreement with that, Pastor Foreman.
I completely agree. This was a catalyst for something that we didn't know would happen, which is that pastors, all different kinds of pastors, Black Pastor Coalition and Grand Rapids Association of Pastors and Congolese pastors have come together for prayer, to dialogue together, and I think this provides us an opportunity to make some real change in the culture of the Grand Rapids Police Department if we stay at it, and I pray that we do.
Of course, this is now in the hands of the jury for a conviction, right? There's a charge, but he has to be convicted if he should spend time in jail. Pastor Bishop, if there is no conviction, what message do you think that would send to not only the police department here, but the community here?
Well, let me modify that just a little bit.
Okay.
A conviction with no culture change in law enforcement is still a defeat. Okay? A conviction is not advancing our cause without a renovation of the entire system. From hiring, training, policing. But a non-conviction would totally change the outlook of West Michigan like no other single act. I'm certain that I speak for my team when I say that none of us are anti-law enforcement. We are anti-inadequate and biased law enforcement. And it is just maddening that every generation has complained about this very system, but that system has never had one defeat. That is an alarming record. No apologies, no admittance of guilt. So again, personally and professionally, I'm not resting on a charge. I think that we need, as Pastor Austin stated, that we need to not only galvanize now, stay galvanized, and go to our city government, and as well as the police leadership, our chief, the union, and not ask for change with words like please, but we draft a movement of demand change now simply for the sake that it's time. It's been far time. It's a shame that Patrick had to die to be a figurehead of sorts for this level of systemic change. But I can say very open-mindedly, we told you so. We told you, Grand Rapids, this was going to happen. We told you that nothing would happen until something like this happened. This didn't have to happen. Now let's make it right.
Bishop McMurray, you have also a different perspective as well because your church hosted the funeral for Patrick Lyoya.
Yes.
What went through your mind as you sat and heard the prosecutor read the second-degree murder charge aloud for the world to hear?
I looked at it from a biblical perspective. Biblical perspective means look at the injustices that happened in the Bible centuries ago Those same injustices happened during the days of Jesus. Those same injustices are happening now. So I look at Hebrews 13:5. It says 13:8, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, which says that yesterday his prescription for justice was through him. Today, the prescription for justice is through him. Tomorrow, the prescription for justice is through him. And his death, the way he was crucified, the way he was hung out for justice, for injustice, is entrenched in the same scenario. If we throw the strategies of our past away and the lessons from yesterday away, we'll find ourselves in the same place tomorrow.
Bishop, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. We're going to go back to our anchors because the NAACP is hosting a news conference now. We want to get right to that. Brian and Sue.
All right, Donovan, thank you.